LeBron James has finally disappointed us. Not on the court, though, off the court, which is extremely shocking. LeBron James came out and said that essentially he is not going to be one of the players putting a social cause on the back of his jersey. He's just going to play as normal. No social justice message on the back of his jersey. No Black Lives Matter. No remember the names. No equality. Nothing like that. Part of the reason is because I think LeBron James feels like he didn't have any input on the kind of messages that would be able to be put out there and be said. I guess that turned him off. And that speaks to some of his evolution. We'll get to that a little bit later. The thing is, though, LeBron James dropped the ball on this. And, you know, we're going to preface this with the famous Stephen A. quotes or whatever. Let me preface this by saying LeBron James is a good father, dude, whatever.
He's great in all of these areas. Do we have that up? Let's leave this up. Great father, great husband, generous philanthropist. Did I leave anything out? Max Molly, did I leave anything out? I just want to make sure of it. From now on, from now on.
You can't in one breath say, I'm a social justice warrior. He posts everything. He says how he feels about a lot of things. And then when it's time to really step up, and sometimes, you know, and this is very rare for LeBron, because when Trayvon Martin thing happened, he had on a hoodie with the Miami Heat and stuff like that. He wore I Can't Breathe shirts. But for him to say that he's not going to put a social cause on his jersey, it just kind of undermines the whole entire thing and the precedent and the message that they're trying to set in Orlando. You have to be unified. And I feel like with a lot of players, they just don't know how to unify. They don't know how to mobilize. They have such a big platform. Everybody does a little bit of different everything. They're not standing on one platform. They don't stand together. And part of the problem is the stars, they don't come unified and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to handle it. You know, even like a lot of times during the lockouts, until the most recent lockouts, a lot of NBA stars never even showed up for the lockouts. And that just goes to show you how poorly organized they can be. But for LeBron James to say like, hey, I'm not going to put on a jersey, I'm not going to put anything on the message or anything like that. So all the other guys that are doing it, you know, what kind of message are you sending to them? Now, I could be wrong in my criticism. I could be like, hey, you know, maybe he has something under his sleeve that we don't know about that he's going to be doing, which is very well possible. Of course, he could be like, well, I don't want to do what the boss tells me to do. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. That makes all the more sense. But if LeBron James comes out, doesn't put on a jersey with a social cause, just wears his regular LeBron James jersey, and does nothing else on the biggest stage, you know, in one of the biggest stages in the world, it just undermines the whole thing. And that's why when you look at the past, when you look at Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, even with Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, how they all stood together, all the stars mobilized and stuck together. All the key figures, Dr. King, even if Malcolm and Dr. King didn't even really agree on most of the things, they came together in certain aspects, in certain regards, and spoke and debated and still talked about things. And they were in the forefront. So you can't be a star and feel like you can pick and choose when to chime in and say this, say that, and then kind of pop out. You know, like, this is kind of weird for LeBron not to be like want to participate with this. I don't know if it's his sponsors or if it's something bigger, but it sort of kind of goes to the whole legacy thing. Because just right then and there, when everything started playing out, and they're like, we're going to have the jerseys, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, it looks like LeBron's legacy came into play. And just something about his reputation came into play. The money came into play. This is kind of like a la Jordan's comment, and this is Jordan's play on words, you know, Republicans buy shoes too. Something came into play that we're not seeing, and that is disappointing. Because if you ask LeBron James 3-4 years ago, are you going to put on a jersey with the name? Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm putting this, that, and the third. Now for him to say no, but all this time he's been tweeting and reposting stuff, and this is what kind of America we live in, and then you come here and you go to the biggest stage, you're going to be mute? You know, Jay-Z had a crazy line against Nas. You know, this is after the whole battle and Ether and everything, but one of the things he said in the blueprint too, You guys know the song. Oh behave, I got my mojo back, whatever. He was like, is it Uchi Wally Wally or is it one mic? What is your message? Is it equality or is it I'm gonna be silent? This is why those people attack athletes like this, because they know that money's coming into place and other things are gonna come into place which is gonna challenge their integrity and be like, hey, I'm not doing this right now. Because honestly, if you're an activist, you can't pick and choose when to do it. That's why Muhammad Ali is essentially the greatest activist we've ever seen. Because even losing boxing titles, even in England, world tours, he always had and maintained the same message. And I feel like in this case, if there's any criticism or knock on LeBron James, he's not maintaining the same message in this regard. He said people already know what he stands for. So, but yes, they do know what you stand for. But the fact that you're the face of the NBA, you should be in the forefront so they can see like, hey, LeBron, my favorite athlete, the guy that we're making so much money off of, he's not having it. So obviously this is a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like if JJ Redick puts on a Black Lives Matter or Kyle Korver, yeah, that's gonna get some buzz. That's gonna get some notoriety, but nothing like LeBron James in the forefront. And this is what crippled like people's perception of Michael Jordan, the older generation. A lot of older guys, they hate Michael. They're like, Mike never did anything for anybody because he's just quiet with everything he did, and he didn't step into the forefront. He didn't push any black leaders and try to help them into office. He didn't protest. He didn't do this. He kind of kept everything on the hush or whatever, and people killed him for that, even though he still did what he could in his regard. But with LeBron, what I'm saying is, in one instance, you're forefront. You're in the front line just saying this, that, and third. But then on the other instance, you're like, I'm not going to participate in, even if it's like not something that you didn't get any input in, well, ask them, hey, can I do this instead? Because what LeBron James says matters, especially in terms of the view of the public perception. If the face of the league is coming and saying like this, that, and the third, I'm going to handle it this, that, and the third, that's what people are going to listen to. Of course, he does things, donates millions of dollars, but this is just like one knock that I feel like he could have came a little bit more correct or really recognize the stature of his platform. But it's not just his fault. It's all players. Like, you got to understand, NBA has probably had, 3 lockouts or something since the 80s? 4 lockouts since the 80s? And one of the key things was the organizational skills. And one of the key people, believe it or not, Isaiah Thomas, had very strong organizational skills. And when he used to negotiate for the contracts and everything like that, the NBA owners hated him. And part of that is what got him kind of blackballed out of NBA for a minute, besides the whole Magic situation. The issue with him negotiating the contracts and being a shrewd operator really upset the owners. And that's kind of the thing I think the players need to take into account. And I think this is the evolution part I'm talking about with LeBron. LeBron's saying, like, this could be it too as well, guys. I might be wrong, this is what it could really be. He could be saying, like, look, all this stuff they're trying to do is not even going to hit on nothing. I got something even better down the pipeline. How about this? We're going to start our own league like Kyrie said. How about this? I'm going to buy me a team, and then I'm going to definitely do all the social causes I want. Because he's worth close to $1 billion. He's from $250 million away from being a billionaire. So maybe that's the play. You know what I'm saying? Like, I also, keep your things close to the vest. So that could be it. But in this instance right now, it doesn't seem like that is it. So let me know what you feel like in the comments, if he's handling it the right way, if you understand where he's coming from, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, share, comment, let me know. As more and more issues arise, we're going to be looking for our players in this bubble to make statements. And now what kind of statement are they going to make? Hoops Junction, Hoops Me Tupla. Like, comment, subscribe.